very special evening honoring a very special person. I'm not going to mess around. We don't know what kind of show we have going for you here tonight. There's everybody in the world backstage. We're just going to start, and we'll see you at the end. But we have to begin with a little decorum and dignity. So I've asked Mary's very good friend, Jim Moore, to say the first words. Jim? Mary, that was an entrance, yes indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, the Queen has arrived. Now, Mary?
Yes, sir?
This is your life. Now,
Oh my God!
that's the theme of this evening's show, and we're going to start with a number. Now, I have to tell you this, I have it on authority of the first words out of Mary's mouth on that fateful day back in 19 when Mary was born. What do you think they were? Anybody guess? That was a close second. That was the second thing out of her mouth. Here was the first thing out of her mouth.
Baltimore, a chance for stage folks to say hello. Another opening of another show, another job that you hope at last will make your future forget your past. Another cave where the ulcers grow, another opening of another show. 4 weeks you rehearse and rehearse, 3 weeks and it could be worse. 1 week, will it ever be right? Then out of the hat is that big first night. The overture is about to start. You cross your fingers and hold your heart. It's curtain time and away we go. Another opening of another show. Another opening, another show. In Philly, Boston, or Baltimore. A chance for stage folks to say hello. Another opening.
guys. That was the cast of Kiss Me Kate from Another Opening, Another Show. Just for you, Mary. Now, we've divided the show into several sections, and this section is called, coming up, is called The Early Years. And we have found somebody from that era who... And he's here with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jeff Steitzer. Our first glitch. Jeff Steitzer.
You know that was no accident, too. Good evening. For some inexplicable reason, I have been asked to talk about Mary Levine's early years. Well, I did a little research. And this is what I came up with. Nothing is known of Mary's earliest years. At least by me. There are no records or any survivors who can shed light on what I've come to view as a childhood shrouded in mystery. But this shouldn't stop us from speculating. Perhaps it's true, as some have suggested, that Mary was raised by wolves. And that what we've always thought of as her vigorous laugh is, in reality, a warning cry to scare off predators. An interesting theory, surely, but one that is totally unsupported by facts. For facts, we must pick up Mary's story in adolescence, which is what I now propose to do. Therefore, I give you Mary Levine, the Eustace years. Thank you. Eustace is the small Florida town where Mary lived and attended school after her family moved there from somewhere else. In the past week, I have had the pleasure of speaking with Joanne Mitnick, one of Mary's oldest friends and a classmate from those years who was able to provide reliable information about Mary's girlhood.
Oh, my God.
Unfortunately for the scandal mongers in the audience, and you know who you are, Joanne adores her friend and has nothing but rapturously pleasant memories of her, so anyone expecting an embarrassing anecdote about Mary might as well just leave now and grab a quick smoke. This much, thanks to Joanne, we do know. Little Mary Thomas and her family arrived in Eustis during the Great Depression and quickly became fixtures in the life of the town. Her father, Llewellyn, went to work as head of the Chamber of Commerce. Her mother, a vivacious, well-trained musician known to just about everybody as Mrs. T, taught piano and became the organist for the Presbyterian Church. Of Mary's brothers, John and Mark, nothing is known. The two girls met in the 5th grade and became lifelong friends. At 12, they joined the church choir where, according to Joanne, they scandalized the congregation with their out-of-control fits of giggling. And that's about as embarrassing as these stories get. Both girls were taught piano and organ by Mrs. T. Both loved to sing, and both were soon ready, in Joanne's words, at the drop of a hat, to perform songs and skits whenever requested. Their artistic yearnings were further encouraged by frequent trips to the local theater, where, for a quarter, they could spend the afternoon watching the latest movies. And their favorites? Not surprisingly, they were musicals, especially those that featured Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald, or Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Joanne tells an illuminating story about our favorite future music director. In those days, films often used classical themes to accompany the action. After watching the film, Mary would turn to her friend and say, "Would you like me to write that out for you?" referring to the music, and then proceed to do so from memory. Joanne also said Mary was a big fan of comedies, and The Three Stooges came first to mind. Given the combination of talent, all those movies for inspirations, and a seemingly boundless energy, Mary soon distinguished herself as a performer. She sang with the Glee Club and played with a school band. She performed for local civic clubs and played at several area churches. In the 9th grade, she and Joanne were allowed to leave class early to prepare programs for the entertainment of their fellow students. And of course, Mary acted in the school plays. Now, Joanne's memory is a little bit hazy here, but she does remember Mary appearing as Aunt Agatha from Argentina and as the president of the Pine Valley Ladies' Aid in a play called Pulling the Curtain. Steve, you might want to look into that one. In addition, Mary wrote for the school paper, wrote for the local paper, and edited the senior yearbook. It's a little wonder that by the time she graduated in 1942, she was included in the who's who of her senior class. When it came time to go off to college, Mary broke ranks with her Eustis friends, who were headed to school in Tallahassee. She had won a scholarship to a Catholic college in Kentucky, but although she started her college career there, she didn't finish it. Now, that's an interesting story, but I'm not going to tell you about that because that's not part of the early years. So at this point, I will close by drawing a discreet veil over those years, except to say that from this point on, nothing more is known of Mary's life. At least by me, until much later. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for separating fact from fiction for us. It's beautiful. Now, this next section is called Mrs. Joseph Levine. It's a side of Mary that we all know and love, and to see the two of them together was inspiring for all of us. So we have some beautiful pictures and a beautiful song and two beautiful singers. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Karen Cody and Mark Anders.
When true lovers meet in Mayfair, so the legends tell, songbirds sing, winter turns to spring.
Every winding street in Mayfair falls beneath the spell. I know such enchantment can be, 'cause it happened one evening to me.
That certain night, the night we met, there was magic abroad in the air. There were angels dining at the Ritz, and a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square.
I may be right, I may be wrong, but I'm perfectly willing to swear that when you turned and smiled at me, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square.
The moon that lingered over London town, poor puzzled moon, he wore a frown.
How could he know we two were so in love? The whole wide world turned upside down.
The streets of town were paved with stars.
It was such a romantic affair.
And as we kissed and said good night, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square.
And here to give us a little insight into Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Levine is their number one son, Mr. Stephen Levine.
Hi, I'm lucky enough to be Mary's son, Stephen. Mom?
Yes, dear.
Mom? Yoo-hoo! Mom! I've inherited some vocal talent. I've been asked to tell how my parents met. It was back in the 40s. Mary, already a trained musician, studies Latin at a Catholic college, where she considers becoming a nun in the Benedictine order. Thanks, Mom, for choosing another career. And sorry, Father Murphy, wherever you are. After graduation, she works as a secretary on a military base near Orlando, Florida. She also does what good girls do to support the war effort. She joins the American Women's Volunteer Service. After washing out as a plane spotter when she misidentifies a flock of Canadian geese for a German bomber squadron, she goes back to pouring tea for lonely GIs. However, never one to be out of the limelight, Mary also plays piano at the base canteen. Unfortunately, most GIs craving the likes of Take the A Train and Chattanooga Choo Choo don't appreciate her repertoire of Mendelssohn, Rachmaninoff, and Chopin. One evening, she notices a handsome young corporal leaning on the piano, staring at her. Never bashful, she strikes up a conversation, asking him if he plays piano. Now, the soldier, who is a master pianist, taught by Joseph Hoffman, who studied with Anton Rubinstein, who studied with Franz Liszt, for God's sake. Being polite, says, "No, I just like to listen." Several days later, Mary is attending a performance of the Armed Forces Symphonette, an orchestra made up of the best New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago musicians, lucky enough to be drafted. She's very surprised to see the same young soldier at the podium conducting. Well, sparks flew, and they spend the next 50 years making beautiful music together. Mom, we love you.
Beautiful job, Stephen. Thank you very much. This next section is opera, ballet, the symphony. Much too high class for me. So I went right to the source. We have a fabulous musician in her own right to talk about this, and this is Miss Lisa Bergman, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm here this evening to introduce 3 parts of Mary's professional life, as you just heard. This is an enormous job. If you're really interested in the minute details, you will want to know that Mary has already been written up in the Who's Who of American Women in Music, International Who's Who in Music, the World's Who for Women, Dictionary of International Biographies in Music, and the International Directory of Speakers. Something you may not know is that Mary is not only a pianist, organist, coach, and conductor, and of course a consummate musician, but she's also a very, very fine writer and has contributed articles for the Saturday Evening Post, the Dance Magazine, the International Musician, Musical America, Etude Magazine of long ago, well, actually not so long ago, High Fidelity Magazine, and the Christian Science Monitor. Mary claims that she has also been decorated with an honorary doctorate. Now, this is in her own words. She has received a PhD in blathering. She was raised as a PK. You all know what a PK is, preacher's kid, right? Of an Anglican minister. And she learned to pour tea and be PC with the ladies of the church at age 7. And her first job was at age 11 as a substitute organist, learning to both lead and follow the congregation at the same time. That's quite a trick. And not to worry if they sang the doxology off-key. Now, I'm going to begin with the first of the 3 categories, Mary's Symphony Years. And in each category, I've chosen to give you some highlights and then finish off with a funny story, because God knows there's no such thing as talking about Mary without including a funny story. The Symphony Years, Omaha, 1958 to 69. And while Joe was conductor of the Omaha Symphony, Mary was the program note annotator and a member of the Speakers Bureau. In 69 to 73, while Joe was associate conductor of the Seattle Symphony with Milton Katims, Mary was again program note annotator for the Seattle Symphony Youth Concerts. She was also correspondent for the Seattle Symphony Goodwill Tour of Alaska in years 1972 and 73. Then they went to Honolulu. In 74 to 75, she was public relations director for the Honolulu Symphony. She was also correspondent for the Honolulu Symphony Goodwill Tour of Micronesia on a National Endowment for the Arts grant, which took them to Guam, Ponape, Saipan, Truk, Kwajalein, and they traveled 10,000 miles. Mary's assignment for that tour was to be a standby to provide answers from the local residents, which apparently was quite a job. One afternoon, they were performing, the orchestra, on a platform that was probably built by the Seabees with a canvas tent over the top. And the local Truk newspaper editor was standing next to Mary. And the thing was that he was stark naked except for a little loincloth. And he looked over at Mary and he said, "What the playing?" And Mary, trying not to look, said, "Well, that's Beethoven's Fifth." And he looked back and he looked at her and said, "What a Beethoven." She was also narrator for Peter and the Wolf in Guam, and it was translated. So every time she would say something in English, there would be an immediate translation, of course, which put Joe on hold with a big fermata over a rest while the extra time took place. The problem with that production was that there is no word for wolf in Chamorro. So the translation of the entire production came out, Peter and the Big Bad Dog. Now, the ballet years, the American Ballet Theater, 1950 through 1958, were unforgettable for Mary Levine. During this time, she and Joe were chosen to direct the American Ballet Theater in many productions, but also in a pilot program for the cultural exchange under the auspices of the State Department. There was no money for an orchestra to tour with the Corps de Ballet, so they had to put together pickup orchestras wherever they went, which were, of course, made up of all the local musicians wherever they were. And sometimes they were lucky. That would be groups like in the neighborhood of the Covent Garden Orchestra, or perhaps the Civic Light Opera Orchestra, really great players. And then sometimes they would be hiring semi-retired mariachi players in Central America who would get lost in the Prelude to Les Sylphides, which apparently is composed mostly of whole notes. During these years, Mary crossed the Atlantic 12 times, toured Central, South America, Europe, and the Near East, and that meant 4 continents and 30 countries, as rehearsal pianist, librarian, and den mother for the entire Corps de Ballet. Some of the highlights were such as 1953 in London, Covent Garden. Agnes DeMille came to do a lead role in Rodeo, and Mary had the distinct honor of rehearsing privately with her during their lunch hours. Mary was never formally trained, she said, for ballet rehearsal playing. She really learned in the trenches. The first week of the job, Mary had a terrifying experience. Now, you have to understand that when dancers describe where they want to start a particular rehearsal piece, they don't say like 3/4, at the 3/4, at the allegro, or anything that musicians would understand. They have their own ballet lingo. And one particular day, a very temperamental Russian dancer arrived on the scene, and she barked at Mary and said, "Now I starting with deep music, eh?" And Mary didn't know what she was talking about. And it didn't help that the little cues that were scribbled in the music from the previous rehearsal pianist were in Basque. Anyway, the dancer probably meant when she said deep music was something that had been played by the bass fiddles or to that effect. Anyway, years later, some incredulous dancer came up to Mary and said, "How in the world do you always know where we're starting?" And Mary said, "Oh, well, I'm well trained. I've been screamed at by the best." I've got to tell you this one great story. In 1956 in Frankfurt, they were performing Bernstein's Fancy Free, and for once Mary had the night off. They had hired a British pianist, and she was backstage gabbing with people. Curtain went up, baton went down, and all of a sudden she realized that the pianist was missing. She couldn't hear the piano part. She dashed through the backstage area, knocking people down into the pit. She looked up at Joe. His face was white. He was conducting like crazy. She was at chin level on this raised pit. And she realized the only way to get up was to climb on a chair. She got up there, and then she thought, well, I don't want to be in plain view of everyone. So she crawled through the entire cello section on her hands and knees. And she had to be careful because as long as they were playing down bows, it was okay. And she was muttering to herself, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, because of course there was a huge 4-bar piano solo coming up any second. And she barely got there, and she had to play the first 2 lines of music standing up until the second viola player shoved the bench under her rear end. And now on to opera. 1946 to 50, while Joe was touring, oh hey, I did this already, didn't I? No, I didn't. While Joe was touring as an accompanist for Joseph Szigeti, the great violinist, Mary was back home. And she was hired as vocal coach for the Philadelphia Chamber Opera, and she was coaching oodles and oodles of singers, their parts for Don Giovanni, in her living room, with her 2- and 4-year-olds playing under the piano with blocks. And she knew that music had a universal, ageless appeal when she could hear the little voices singing, La ci darem la mano. In 1960 through 69, she was in Omaha, where she served as vocal coach for the Omaha Civic Opera, organist and choir director for St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, music director for Omaha Playhouse, and accompanist for the Midwest tour of Metropolitan baritone William Walker. Then on to Honolulu, 1973 to 76. She was vocal coach for the Hawaii Opera Theater, vocal coach and touring pianist for the Opera Players of Hawaii School Tours, and music director for the Honolulu Community Theater. Then Joe and Mary came to Seattle. The years 1976 to 94, she served as Seattle Opera touring pianist for the Opera in the Schools program, and for the Seattle Opera Guild, a very important part of her life. She was preview speaker for some 20 years. Here tonight I have the honor of introducing to you Yvette Glober, immediate past president of Seattle Opera Guild, who will present on behalf of the entire Guild a special tribute to Mary.
This is our tribute to Mary Levine. Have you heard, have you seen how Mary Levine in the musical fields has tilled? I'm not one all cherry to tell you of Mary and of some of the roles she has filled. Conductor, presenter, and teacher, and mentor, in all she is so highly skilled. With her pianist hat on, or wielding a baton, what a musical house she did build. Under her direction, from every section, came the countless singers who've trilled, and who night after night deliver delight that leaves hundreds of audiences thrilled. So, really, on balance, just one of those talents. There are many I know who would have killed, and it is no rumor that great sense of humor disguises the fact she's strong-willed. For all this and more, a rousing encore from Seattle Opera Guild.
I now have the additional distinct honor to introduce Leslie McEwen and Matthew Goodrich. Leslie is a native of Annapolis, Maryland, and a graduate of Xavier University of Louisiana, Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, and is currently a doctoral candidate at the University of Washington. Leslie has performed in operas and oratorios in New Orleans, Illinois, and with such companies as Annapolis Opera, Prince George Opera, the Washington Festival Opera, Seattle Civic Light Opera, Cornish Chamber Opera, and the Seattle Symphony, Portland Symphony, and Peter Britt Festival in Oregon. Leslie is a District and Regional Metropolitan Opera National Council finalist, a San Francisco Merrill Opera Competition winner, an American Opera Auditions winner, and a Bel Canto Foundation's Auditions finalist. She is also chairperson for the music department at the American Samoa Community College in Pago Pago, where she teaches opera workshop and voice. As a special salute to Mary Levine, I give you Leslie McEwen and her fabulous accompanist, Matthew Goodrich. Gershwin's Summertime.
incredible. Now, it's time for Mary Fun Facts. Ken, could you roll the first slide? I took it by surprise there. Who's that? Arden, Maisie, and Mary. Let's run the next one. Who's that? Better yet, where is that? Barkerville. That's right, and that leads us into our next section, Barkerville. Now, this is Mary in theater, and so we needed to get a real theater person to talk about this. Well, our next speaker is a young man who worked with Mary just one show. He's relatively new to town, and he choreographed The King and I for her, and he instantly became her favorite choreographer. Fine, Mary. And he's got hair. Big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, here to talk about Barkerville is Mr. Donald Daly.
Wow! Mary, what a family. I'm new to this family, but what a family you have. I'm amazed, awestruck. It's been my privilege, before I get into this, it's been my privilege to work with you, Mary, in The King and I. You made it a choreographer's dream. I had but to look, and you had it written down, cut, spliced. It was what it was because of you, Mary. And on a quick side note, to answer your question, I wanted to take a moment here to do this for you. To answer your question backstage, yes, I had a baby boy last night. 6 in the morning, I'm a little crampy, a little emotional. I'm gonna get through it. So, we named him Mary. I know how you have affected my life. I know you'll affect my son's life when he's about 16, 17. Won't be my fault. All right, on with the show. Barkerville, 1981, first year. Mary spent hours and hours each year finding authentic period music pre-1870. 1870. Schedules were 3 shows per day, 6 shows a week. Mary always warmed up reading them, finding out where people were from. Many were from Europe, the U.S., Kent, Auburn. A lot of them were from Auburn. She managed to make each member of the audience feel very welcome and very special, telling stories and taking them back to the early 1800s. Just how old are you, Mary? Her piano was on stage right in the middle of in a little cubicle with perilous stairs leading up to it. There were candles on the piano, and for when the power went out, and it did periodically, whereupon Mary would light the candles and play and entertain the audience until the power was returned. Costumes were heavy and authentic with lots of bone and lining and huge heavy undershirts. So in between and after each show, Mary would diligently launder her dress, skirts, the stockings for the next day's show. And after each show, Mary and the cast would meet the audience members out in the front for pictures. Mary always knew someone in the audience by their real name, where you would oftentimes hear Mary in the lobby going, "Bill! Hi, Bill! Oh, I love him! He's fabulous! He's a darling!" Mary Levine impression. No. She made the shows with her enthusiasm and her warmth. Generally, she had to park about a half a mile away from the theater, whereupon she would carry her heavy scores for each show, home, back and forth, each day. Each night, each note of the show was carefully handwritten, transposed to whatever key was needed for the performers. And she carried 2 different shows back and forth every day. Her day off was spent driving for hours on winding roads to Barkerville, outside of Barkerville, to a little town doing groceries, laundry, banking. She knew everyone in Barkerville, of course, as she knows everyone in Seattle. And Barkerville was an old mining town where Mary shared a mobile home for most of those years. Because Barkerville is a restored mining town, there are many ghost stories there. The least of which was the ghost story of Florence, who was said to inhabit the Theatre Royal. So each night, the last thing that you would hear in the theater, in the lobby, somewhere, was Mary's lilting voice saying, "Good night, Florence." I love you, Mary. Thanks.
Great job, Daniel. I just have to tell you a little story about Daniel, too. He was originally going to dance for you tonight, Mary, and then his wife decided to have a baby. So he was all freaked out because he really wanted to do something here tonight, so we were very happy to have him with us. But congratulations, Daniel. Okay, this next section, Mary in Theater. Now, we could tell lots of fun anecdotes, but we decided to do it with music. And Mr. Sterling Kingsley, bless his heart, has come up with a fabulous song, so I'll say no more. Take it away, Sterling.
I've got an audition on Monday, guess I'll sing the Sondheim. Wait, that piano part's crazy, it throws them every time. Better call Mary. I've got an audition on Tuesday, guess I'll sing, but wait a minute. I've sung that twice before, I need a new song, better call Mary.
Wrong key, this song's way too low for me. I'm a tenor, gotta call Mary.
I don't know what I'm gonna sing, wish I hadn't waited so long. I don't know who's got that music. Mary.
Mary's gonna help me through. Mary knows what I should do. Mary will have to sing and play and lead the band. I know if anybody can, Mary can.
Have Mary just reorchestrate. Yes, that's a plan. And then at brunch we need her to play Chopin.
Hello? Hello, Mary Levine? Yes, my name is Nina Sanatina. Nina Sanatina. I'm an actress. Yeah, I played Medea in Medea, and our cast picture made it into the school yearbook. Plainview High, page 32, yeah. And I also, in Hamlet, in Romeo and Juliet, I played Juliet's mom, and in Hamlet, I played very coarse persons. Thank you. Well, anyway, I have an audition tomorrow, and I really need to practice my song. I'm gonna sing Old Man River. Oh, it is? Well, Judy Garland sang it. Oh, well, that's my favorite song. Now I don't know what to sing. Oh, you think Happy Birthday would be appropriate? I mean, it's not really my birthday or anybody I know, but I guess I could just sort of fake it. But I think it's really too high for me. Isn't there anything else I could sing, Mary? Oh, is that like Joe, a dear? Yeah, I know that. But I don't think that's in my songbook, Broadway blockbusters of the 90s. You have the music, Mary? Oh, you can transpose it for me? You'll help me practice? Oh, thank you, Mary. This means so much to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna be a star. Rodeo, I checked every music store. I just can't find it. Odds are Mary's got the score.
This kid's the perfect Oliver. It's not the greatest voice.
He's cute, his accent's flawless.
He's tone deaf.
Yes, but he's our choice.
Better call Mary.
Next week we're touring Figaro. I hear the piano's scary. It's missing 7 keys. Thank God we've got Mary.
6:15. Our lead has a swollen spleen. We need a soprano, gotta
The
call
piano
Mary.
player's drunk, now we're really stuck. Gotta find somebody fast who can sight read anything.
Mary Levine, the piano machine.
Mary's gonna help us through. Mary knows what we should do. Don't worry, Mary's here, it's all under control. Don't sweat it, Mary's gonna make it rock and roll.
How can we find an orchestra when there's no pay?
Don't freak, call Mary, trust me, she'll find a way. Hello? Yes, is this Mary Levine? Yes, hello. My name is Sally Cloy. Yes, I'm starting a new theater in Shill's Hole. Oh, Shill Shoal. Yes, of course. Well, actually, I am looking for a dynamic personality to be the musical director of our first production, The Student Prince. Yes, well, our production is going to be fantastic, you see. I am from New York, actually the spiritual bosom of the American theater, and Oh, excuse me? Well, actually, you see, there is no salary for the position, but, there's more to life than money, and we artistes, we have to stick together. Well, yes, of course, we all have bills to pay at the end of the month, but you certainly can't expect to start at the top now, can you? One has to pay one's dues, my girl.
We've got no money.
Darling, Mary will play.
It's late, but we need music.
Mary will stay. Mary, I need your help. This audition is so important to me. I don't know.
The
Seems like every time you
sopranos
play, everything's better.
Sometimes gonna pay.
When you're struggling hard to cope with a feeling life just isn't fair, and you need a ray of hope from someone whom you know will care, call Mary. Call Mary. Call Mary.
That's 283-5553.
Thank you, Sterling. Terrific. This next section is Mary in the Midwest. Now, to lead things off here, we got a couple of corn-fed boys for you, Mayor. Maybe you heard of them. The Collins boys, Don and Jason. Take it away, boys.
Beyond that road lies a shining world.
Beyond that road lies despair.
Beyond that road lies a world that's gleaming.
People who are scheming,
Beauty,
hunger,
glory,
sorrow.
never a pain or care.
He's liable to find a couple of surprises there. There's a song he must sing, it's a well-known song, but the tune is bitter and it doesn't take long to learn.
I can learn.
That pretty little world that seems so bright, that pretty little world that seems delightful can burn.
Let me learn. Let me learn. For I can see it shining somewhere. Bright light somewhere invite me to come there and learn. And I'm ready, I can hear it. Siren singing. Inside my head I hear them all ringing. Come learn. Who knows, maybe all the visions I can see may be waiting just for me to say, take me there and make me see it. Make me feel it. I know it's so, I know that it's really maybe. Let me
somewhere. Somewhere, bright lights not only glitter, but once there, they burn.
I can see it, I can hear it.
He can hear it.
Siren singing.
Siren singing. Don't listen close, or maybe you'll never return.
Who knows? Maybe all the visions I can see may be waiting just for me to say. I can see it. Say, and make me a part of it. I can see those shining lights inside of me. Man, you feel those lights inside, don't lie to me. I know it's so, I know that it really may be just what my life's created for. This is what I've always waited for.
And here to talk about Mary in the Midwest is somebody who ought to know, Miss Veronica Reichel. Veronica?
Hi, Mary. I love you. Hi, sweetie. 1958 was a very important year for Nebraska. That's the year that Mary, Joe, Stephen, and David discovered Omaha. There were culture shocks. I just want you to know that, okay? These cosmopolitan world travelers were meeting cows. The board of the Omaha Symphony wasn't really sure of who Pablo Casals was. And by 1960, just 2 years later, Mary, who, as you know, is a fine writer, was given the key to the city for writing a love letter to Omaha, which appeared in the Saturday Evening Post. And she then had her picture taken with farm animals. Mary was the musical director for many fine productions, working at the Omaha Playhouse, Chanticleer, other theaters. Bye Bye Birdie, Pajama Game, Damn Yankees, Beggar's Opera, Three Penny Opera, The Fantastics. You name it, she did it. She sang, she cajoled, she directed, she played the piano, gongs, chimes, even the theremin, for goodness sakes. She helped actors learn their parts. She covered for them when they forgot their parts. Mary fed them, and she made us all laugh until our carbonated beverages came out of our noses. This is the truth. It happened to me. One high point of Mary's musical career is not generally known to her great fans here in Seattle, and I'm going to tell you what Mary has never told you. While in Omaha in the early 1960s, Mary Levine performed at the famed Joslin Art Museum as a member of the Ovarian Trio. This is the truth. I couldn't make this up, okay? Mary's just so easy to love. It sounds like a song, I know. It's true, though. And when we were in Omaha, she taught us some wonderful lessons. The lessons she continues to teach people here in Seattle and everyone who's ever worked with her. And they're very important lessons. She's taught us by her example. It's okay to do what you love. It's okay to be an artist. It's okay to be a maniac. And it's okay to walk into a room and say, I love you, Mary.
Now for this next section, Mary in Hawaii, we tried to get Tom Selleck. He wasn't available, but we got somebody just as good. And this guy can sing. And he's about the same age. Take it away, Brad.
Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger. You may see a stranger across a crowded room, and somehow you'll know even then, that somewhere you'll see her again and again. Some enchanted evening, someone may be laughing. You may hear her laughing across a crowded room. And night after night, as strange as it seems, the sound of her laughter will sing in your dreams. Who can explain it? Who can tell you why? Fools give you reasons, wise men never try. Some enchanted evening, when you find your true love, when you hear her call you across a crowded room, then fly to her side and make her your own. Or all through your life you may dream all alone. Once you have found her, never let her go. Once you have found her, never let her go.
Yeah, I was just kidding, Brad. He's not the same age as Tom Selleck. He's older, actually. Now, Mary in Hawaii, we needed somebody to dish the dirt. And I think we found him. Mr. Tony Curry.
Aloha. Where's Mary? Aloha! For those of you who are wondering, this is formal wear in Hawaii. My socks match. Aloha. Mary, I have to apologize. I was so stoned in the early 70s, I don't remember a thing. Just looking for the hook. 1973, I had an argument with Linda Ryan and Jillian Dodd over what date you arrived in Hawaii. I kept saying 1973. Was it 1973?
Yes, darling.
Oh, 1973. That big, huge smile and all those teeth arrived in Honolulu with Honolulu Symphony's newest associate maestro, Joseph Levine. That was the suave Jewish soldier that saved Mary from a life of nonsense. It's true, Mary. Thank God. Now Mary came to Hawaii, of course, with Joe and began to play the piano. And there's a very fancy word for what she did. She was the rehearsal pianist for the Hawaii Opera Theater with Bibi Freitas. And Bibi refused to talk to me on the telephone, so I couldn't get any dish from her. Bibi, aloha. Now, then Mary went to the Honolulu Community Theater. I'm going to talk about musical theater since we discovered that she went to all those wonderful islands down in the South Pacific that Lisa Bergman mispronounced. Sorry, Lisa. Lisa. Wrong. Mary became the musical director at the Honolulu Community Theater, the oldest community theater in the United States, and boy, did they know it. There she first did Guys and Dolls, which unfortunately is not one of my favorite shows and I never got to see. But I heard it was fabulous. Everyone said it was wonderful, and then Mary did their wonderful Christmas extravaganza, Hansel and Gretel. And then in 1974, which was the second season that I think you were in Honolulu, 74, 75, was this big word out that they were going to do a major revival of South Pacific in Hawaii, and I think that song is from it, that we just heard. Some enchanted evening, which they did not ask me to sing. It's okay. And I thought, gee, all right. I heard they were going to pay actors, and I thought I'd go out for it, you know, and then I found out you had to sing. So I went to the library and found a book. And in the book was a bunch of songs from Funny Girl. And so I handed the book to a friend of mine, Pat Dixon. You remember Pat Dixon? He used to play the piano just like you. And Pat couldn't read music, but he taught me the song. And then I went into this audition, and of course, this is where I first met Mary. This is where most of the people here first met Mary, was at a musical audition. And I handed her my music, and she played a song I'd never heard before. And it was called Private Schwartz from Rockaway. Which I sang in my best Yiddish accent. And for some reason, I guess I was louder than the piano at the time. And yeah, they hired me and actually gave me a solo line, which again, I don't remember. I don't remember how the solo line went, and I never sang it right, but Mary played the piano during the show, and after I sang it each night, which was, there is absolutely nothing like the frame of a day. The right notes would come in after me. They told me it was a cappella, which I thought was a Hawaiian word. Hi, Bruce. And then Mary left the show mysteriously for a while, and it wasn't my singing, though, was it, Mary? Mary kept telling me, you have a beautiful voice. And then Mary went back to Honolulu Community Theater and was the musical director for a Stephen Sondheim musical called A Little Night Music, in which she musical directed Jillian Dodd. Remember Jillian? And I think Sister Grace wasn't in that one. Actually, a very close friend of Mary's is the singing nun. Not Dominica, but something close to that. And she didn't do drugs, and she remembered everything. And that's where I discovered that Mary was ambidextrous. which is another Hawaiian word. Mary played the piano for the show and also conducted, and I discovered she could do this and play the whole thing with her left hand. Aloha.
Johnny.
Yes.
Sister Grace will be here in 2 weeks, so.
I know Sister Grace is coming on the 19th. I know. And she's still mad at me because I screwed up one of her graduations 7 years ago. I didn't know they were gonna sing. Mary left a little night music and came back to me, and they actually took away all my singing parts, my big solo line, and put me in a non-singing role, Luther Billis, and which actually did have songs before they put me in it, Mary, and I don't know if that was you. But then they simply cut them all out. And one of the things that everyone in Hawaii, when I talked to them recently, wanted you to know and wanted everyone here to know that the Ohana, the family of theater in Hawaii, loves you so much. And they all listed their names. Linda Ryan, Liz Cole, who followed you here, and Jamie Jeffries, and Alan Aquina, and Jim Hutchinson, remember him? He used to direct. And Peggy Ann Sigmund. And John Beret, and then there's John, formerly Dick, Allen. We used to call him John, formerly Dick. Aloha. Mary Holmes, Bill Nielsen, who we don't know where he is. Jimmy Seibel, who we don't want to know where he is. Jan Shapiro, does somebody know Jimmy back there? Maydeen Pang. David Edward Hughes, who followed you here and finally got to work with you here. Joan Dillon, Mary Frances Sheedy, Cable, Gwynn, Laura, Jillian Dodd, again, who was Agathon Magnum P.I. You remember her? Jamie Jeffries, Peg Burney, Bob Campbell, all remember your sense of Ohana and that big smile and all those teeth. And when I first came here in 1989, Mary, you were the first person I called. And I said, remember me? And you said, do you still have that beautiful singing voice? And you got me an audition at the bathhouse, and those people have never spoken to me since. I love you. Aloha.
Mary comes back home, the Cirque Dinner Theater, Kyle Cable.
Okay, so Mary's had her fling with the symphony, the opera, the ballet. She's traveled the world, gone to Hawaii. But she finds her true calling. Dinner theater. To great delight, Mary was ensconced for a 4-year term at 131 Taylor Avenue North, also known as the Cirque Dinner Theater. What was then, oh, you've been there. Either that or you remember my opening speech every night. It was at that point then the largest for-profit arts organization north of San Francisco, west of the Mississippi. It was a real show palace with stars, sets, costumes, entertainment value, just to beat the band. Okay, it was a remodeled bowling alley. The stage floor was made up of the actual bowling lanes, and the walls were sheathed in a red flocked wallpaper from entrance to exit. Yes, indeedy, it was the big time for Mary. One of the first productions Mary was the musical director for was Fiddler on the Roof, starring Kurt Kasner. Little did she know that that 6-week contract would convert to a 9-month run. With us this evening to sing a number from that very successful show is Miss Julie Morell performing Far from the Home I Love.
How can I hope to make you understand why I do what I do? Why I must travel to a distant land, far from the home I love. Once I was happily content to be as I was, where I was, close to the people who were close to me, here in the home I love. Who could see that a man would come who would change the shape of my dreams? Helpless now I stand with him, watching older dreams grow dim. Oh, what a melancholy choice this is, wanting home, wanting him, closing my heart to every hope but his, leaving the home I love. There where my heart has settled long ago, I must go, I must go. Who could imagine I'd be wandering so far from the home I love? Yet there with my love, I'm home.
Well, on the heels of Fiddler, Mary moved on to be the musical director for another extended run, again with Kurt Kasner. This one, though, instead of being set in the coldness of Russia, moved south to the warmth of the Mediterranean, where Zorba was brought to life. There are many highlights to Mary's career at the Cirque. One that sticks out in my mind was in a rather eventful production of Camelot. Remember what they say about working with kids and animals, especially English sheepdogs with an attitude and stage business to do. And how could we forget opening night of The Sound of Music? The star playing Maria comes out to sing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of music, and the set commences to fall down all around her. The next thing you see are stagehands scurrying left and right, trying to keep the set from collapsing on top of the star and from ending up into the pit on top of the musicians. Mary's involvement with other productions at the Cirque include The King and I, starring the very gracious Anne Jeffries, South Pacific with Patrice Mansell and Bob Wright, Where's Charlie with Ron Palillo and Neil McQueen. And these were perhaps less eventful, but equally enjoyed. Mary's outspokenness convinced the then producer of the Cirque to hire the first chamber dance company from New York, who had recently moved here to Seattle for the staging of the production of The King and I, which the Cirque did. Not only did she win the producer's nod, but the dance company brought original choreography and first-rate reviews for the small house of Uncle Thomas Ballet. In the bleakness of the for-profit business, Mary soon found that, in a word, less was more. Her cleverness in arranging and her ear for orchestrating turned the three-member pit band of South Pacific into the seductive call of Valley High. who would guess that Mary at the piano, a harpist, and a poor woman tripling on flute, sax, and clarinet could fill your imagination with the romance of the South Seas? And with 5 members in her troupe, she could bring on the bodiness of burlesque in the Cirque's production of Gypsy. I could go on and regale you with humorous stories of dodging olives and spilled jello from the stage floor as it went flying past the musicians. The buffets were set up on the stage overlooking the musicians. Think about it. But we don't have time for all of that. So, I could talk about the bizarre or makeshift rehearsal spaces where we would put together major undertakings in 7 days. But time prevents that as well. Let's just say that the Cirque generated a lot of entertainment for a lot of people, but it was Mary who made the musicals sound as good as they were. I'll leave you with an example of a quintessential Maryism from my time at the Cirque. Mary and I had just finished a meeting discussing musicians for Gypsy. It was still for profit then, so we didn't have, remember, 5. When the choreographer for the show, the Las Vegas choreographer, Joe Emery, arrived at the door, I took this opportunity to introduce the two of them as they had not met yet. And Mary looked her in the eye, and with a twinkle in hers, says to Joe, "You know, you have to be a little bit crazy to work here." And with that, she laughed her merry laugh, and out the door she went, schlepping her tote bag, her music stand lamp, her purse, and her coat dangling off of one shoulder, leaving me to explain what had just happened. And now to perform a number from Mary's last show at the Cirque, I'd like to introduce Judy-Ann Moulton, Dorothy Rosenthal, and Sandra Singler as the all-knowing strippers in You've Gotta Get a Gimmick from Gypsy.
You can pull all the stops out till they call the cops out. Grind your behind till you're banned. But you gotta get a gimmick if you wanna get ahead. You can sacrifice your sacro, working in the back row. Bump in a dump till you're dead. But you gotta get a gimmick if you wanna get ahead. You can, That's how burlesque was born. Me, and a, but I do it with a horn. Once I was a schlepper, now I'm Miss Mazeppa with my revolution in dance. You gotta have a gimmick if you wanna have a chance. She can, I gotta make her rich. Me, I but I do it with a switch. even trying. I never have to sweat to get paid. You gotta get a gimmick, and Mary, girl, you've got it made. All them and them and them ain't gonna spell success. Me, I and I ooh, but I do it with finesse. Something special, anything that's special, anything that's special, you go. You're more than just a mimic when you got a gimmick. Take a look how different we are. Shake it. If you wanna grind it, till you've refined it. If you wanna bump it with a trumpet. Get yourself a gimmick and you can be a
Oh, we're nothing if we're not tasteful, huh? Love it, love it. Well, this next section is a different Mary. And so we have a very special guest to talk about this, Miss Misha Berenson. Misha?
Long before I came up to Seattle to take a job at the Seattle Times, I knew Mary in a really different way than as a conductor and a musical director. I knew her as my surrogate Aunt Mary. And I was fortunate enough that my best friend, Nina Fendel, who is in the audience right now, had Mary as an aunt. And I also know Mary's son, Stephen Levine. And when I was a San Francisco college student of about 22, I came up here, and Aunt Mary and Uncle Joe took me in. And I remember it was my first trip to Seattle, and Seattle was in deep mourning for Elvis, along with the rest of the country, on that particular day that we arrived. And Nina had told me, Mary is just like Auntie Mame, and she was. She embraced us, my boyfriend of the time and I, and took us under her wing, took us all over Seattle. She was a one-woman chamber of commerce for the delights of Seattle, which she still is. She took us to a little French restaurant that no longer exists in Pioneer Square. What was that, Mary? Down in the basement. Yeah, and she knew everybody. She knew all the waiters and the chef and the owner, and everybody was wonderful. Everybody was the best at what they did. And she was just enormously loving and welcoming to me. So many years later, when I actually knew I was going to move up here, I called Aunt Mary and said, you know, I'm coming to Seattle. I don't know a soul. What do I do? And she again extended her warmth and friendship to me. And I just want you to know that as much as Mary is loved by this community of artists that she's part of, and by audiences who have enjoyed so much of her artistry, she is equally loved by her family and the people close to her, her friends, people who may not necessarily be in the theater, but know her in a different way. and I'm really delighted that I can introduce you to the family members who've come to be part of this special occasion. I'm just going to read all of their names. Her son, David Levine, who lives here in Seattle, her son, Stephen Levine, and his wife, MJ, who've come up from Los Angeles, her very beloved granddaughter, Michelle Levine Ray, who came in from Dallas, her brother-in-law, Aaron Levine, and his wife, Beatrice, and their daughter, Lisa, who came from Palo Alto to be here tonight, my friend Nina Findell, who is Mary's niece, who came up from Piedmont, California, and also kind of a extended family member, Bill Osborne, who flew in from London. And along with them, I'm really delighted by this occasion. Thank you for letting me be part of it.
Mary, do you suppose we can get your family to stand up? Can we get your family to stand up so we can all see them? Put on the house lights. Let's see all these wonderful people. Have them stand up. The family. Yeah. Well, my dear, now we've come to the final portion of the show, the CLO years. Yes, indeedy. Now, we're going to start this a little backwards. We're going to introduce to you, first of all, Mr. Tim Threlfall, who will talk about the last few years with you. Tim?
You know, Mary, I only have one real heartfelt regret from our 3 short seasons together here at CLO, and that is that we never found an honest way to incorporate your magnificent imitation of a crying baby into one of the shows. We got very close this year in the Secret Garden. Up until the final technical rehearsal, Mary was the sound effects for the show. Mary, would you mind, just for old time's sake, just giving us a short little one? We'll have to all be quiet. Yes, indeed, that is my single biggest regret, not getting that into a show. This year we had lots of fun things to do. I think it was the final dress rehearsal of No No Nanette when we got a call from the police department saying we needed to clear the building because of a bomb threat in 5 minutes, and we did. During King and I, we had the earthquake, and you might have thought that your home rumbled and rolled, but believe me, Jane Addams did quite a number during the earthquake. But primarily, whether you're an actor or a dancer or a singer or a director, when you work with Mary Levine, you get spoiled. And there's no two ways about it. You just get spoiled by her, and we're all so much better for having been spoiled by you. Thank you, Mary. We all love you.
Thank you, Tim. And we did have one more speaker, that was Susie Glass, but unfortunately she got very ill today and was unable to attend, but she wanted to send you her best and all of her love, Mary, okay? Just so you know that. Now, we're in for a real treat now. This last section contains every show you've ever done at CLO. Now, we're gonna make this a contest. If you can guess the titles and the songs and the year of each one of these, ladies and gentlemen, the orchestra has volunteered. The brass section has volunteered a night in a hot tub with them, if you can get to all these questions. I don't know. Okay. Without further ado, the CLO years. Hit it, Bruce.
Hear me now, oh, the bleak and unbearable world, thou art base and debauched as can be. For a knight with his banners all bravely unfurled now hurls down his gauntlet to thee. I, Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha, a name all the world soon will know. I commend now my soul to the wild winds of fortune, oh, whithersoever they blow, whithersoever they blow. Onward to glory I go.
Friends, either you are closing your eyes to a situation you do not wish to acknowledge, or you are simply unaware of the caliber of disaster indicated by the presence of a pool table in your community. Well, you got trouble, my friends. Right here, say trouble right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a billiard player, certainly mighty proud to say I'm always mighty proud to say it. I consider that the hours I spent with a cue in my hand are golden. Help cultivate horses and a cool head and a keen eye. Now, I know all you folks are the right kind of parents. I'm going to be perfectly frank. Would you like to know what kind of conversation goes on when they're loafing around that hall? They'll be trying out Vivo, trying out Cubeb, trying out tailor-mades like cigarette fiends, and bragging all about how they're going to cover up a telltale breath with sense. And one fine night, they'll leave that pool hall, headed for the dance at the Armory. Libertine men with scarlet women and ragtime. Shameless music will drag your son, your daughter to the arms of a jungle animal instinct. Mass hysteria. Friends, the idle brain is the devil's playground. Trouble. Right here in River City. That game with the 15 numbered balls is the devil's tool. Devil's tool. Oh, we got trouble, trouble, trouble. Oh, yes, we got trouble. Man, we got big, big trouble. With a T. Yeah, right with P. That stands for piano.
I'm as corny as Kansas in August. I'm as normal as blueberry pie. No more a smart little girl with no heart. I have found me a wonderful guy. I am in a conventional dither with a conventional star in my eye. And you will note there's a lump in my throat when I speak of that wonderful guy. I'm as tried and as gay as a daisy in May, a cliche coming true. I'm bromidic and bright as a moon, happy night, pouring light on the dew. I'm as corny as Kansas in August, high as a flag on the 4th of July. If you'll excuse an expression I use, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful guy. You'll sleep with the evening sky, my little one. You'll wake with the morning star. Yes, and once in a while you will cry, my little one. And then you will know who you are.
often walked down this street before, but the pavement always stayed beneath my feet before. All at once am I several stories high, knowing I'm on the street where you live. And oh, the towering feeling just to know somehow you are near. The overpowering feeling that any second you may suddenly appear. People stop and stare, they don't bother me, for there's nowhere else on earth that I would rather be. Let the time go by, I won't care if I can be here on the street where you live.
Day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when the bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love.
My one and only, what am I gonna do if you turn me down? When I'm so crazy over you. I tell you, I'm not asking any miracle. It can be done, it can be done. I know a clergyman who will grow lyrical and make us one so. When I'm so crazy over you.
Hey, nice coat. What's playing at the Roxy? I'll tell you what's playing at the Roxy. A picture about a Minnesota man so in love with a Mississippi girl that he sacrifices everything and moves all the way to Biloxi. That's what's playing at the Roxy.
What's in the Daily News? I'll tell you what's in the Daily News. A story about a guy so in love with his wife that he buys her a small ruby, which, by the way, would look wonderful with your dress, Mary. I got it. What otherwise would have been his union dues. That's what's in the Daily News.
What's happening all over? I'll tell you what's happening all over. Two over-the-hill cabaret producers singing a number that should have gone to some of the young guys backstage. That's what's happening all over. Love is the thing that has licked them, and it looks like Nathan's just another victim.
Yes, sir. When you see a guy breaking hard for the sky, you can bet that he's doing it for some dough.
When you spot a John waiting out in the rain, chances are he's insane, as only a John can be for a Jane.
When you meet a gent paying all kinds of rent for a flat that could flatten the Taj Mahal.
Call it sad, call it funny, but it's better than even money that the guy's only doing it for some dough, some dough, some dough. The guy's only doing it for some dough.
pajama game is the game I'm in, and I'm proud to be in the pajama game. I love it. I can hardly wait to wake and get to work at 8. Nothing's quite the same as the pajama game. Intellect is the world that I revere. In the pure dry air of the scientist, I am in my proper sphere. To illumine what was dark with a spark of cerebral electricity, there's felicity. From a fragment to construct the comprehensive whole, there's nectar for the soul.
Leave it to us. Say the word and it's as good as done. It's done. What do you need, Gov? Looking for speed, Gov. For if it's speed you need to do the deed, we'll do it on the run. Just name your fancy, although it may be chancy. We'll feel the bill without a fuss. And when no other blokes will touch it, not for money or for love, leave it to us, Gov. Leave it to us. If you need a helping hand to give that little extra shove, trust the irregulars, just the irregulars.
Wiggins, Doc Bellows and River,
Perkins,
and McKibben.
The Baker Street Irregulars.
That's us.
That's us. That's us.
Into the woods, it's time to go. I hate to leave, I have to though. Into the woods, it's time, and so I must begin my journey. Into the woods and through the trees to where I am expected, ma'am. Into the woods to grandmother's house. Into the woods to grandmother's house. The way is clear, the light is good. I have no fear, nor no one should. The woods are just trees, the trees are just wood. I sort of hate to ask it, but do you have a basket? Hi, Mary. Into the woods and down the dell, the path is straight, I know it well. Into the woods, and who can tell what's waiting on the journey? Into the woods to bring some bread to Granny, who is sick in bed. Never can tell what lies ahead, for all that I know, she's already dead. But into the woods, into the woods, to grandmother's house and home before dark. Oh, there's a new sensation that is going around, going around, going around, going around. A simple little ditty that is sweeping the town, sweeping the town, sweeping the town. Do 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 do. They call it the wrong note rag. It's got a little twist that really drives you insane, drives you insane, drives you insane, drives you insane. Because you find you never get it out of your brain, out of your brain, out of your brain. Do 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 do. They call it the wrong note rag. I won't grow up. I won't grow up. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. Just to learn to be your parent. Just to learn to be your parent. And recite a silly rule. And recite a silly rule. If growing up means it would be running my dignity to climb a tree, I'll never grow up. Never grow up. Never grow up. Not me. Not I. Not me. Not me.
Who's the creepiest creep in the world? Who's unsensible, reprehensible, whose behavior is just indefensible, who's the crawlingest, cruelest, rummiest, crookedest crook? What a prize, what a joy, Mrs. Hook's little baby boy, the scourge of the sea, just little old me. Captain Hook.
The minute you walked in the joint, I could see you were a man of distinction, a real big spender, good looking, so refined. Say, wouldn't you like to know what's going on in my mind? So let me get right to the point. I don't pop my cork for every guy I see. Time with me. Last fun, good time. Last fun, good time. Last fun, good time. How's about it, palsy?
If they could save me now, that little gang of mine. I'm eating fancy chow and drinking fancy wine. I like those stumble bums to say for a fact. That kind of top draw the straight chums I attract. All I can say is, wow, look at where I am. Tonight I landed power right in a pot of jam. What a setup, holy cow, they never believe it if my friends could save me now.
he's good or if he's bad, or if you like the way he wears his head. Oh, what's the use of wondering if he's good or if he's bad? He's your fella and you love him. That's all there is to that. Common sense may tell you that the ending will be sad, and now's the time to break and run away. But what's the use of wondering if the ending will be sad? He's your fella and you love him. There's nothing more to say. Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair. Send in the clouds. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps tearing around, one who can't move. But where are the clouds? Quick, send in the clouds. Don't bother, they're here.
If they asked me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look. I could write a preface on how we met so the world would never forget. And the simple secret of the plot is just to tell them that I love you a lot. And the world discovers as my book ends how to make true lovers friends.
Picture you upon my knee, just tea for two and two for tea, just me for you and you for me alone. Nobody near us to see us or hear us, no friends or relations on weekend vacations. We won't have it known, dear, that we own a telephone, dear. A boy for you, a girl for me. Can't you see how happy we would be?
Come to my garden, nestled in the hill. There I'll keep you safe beside me. Come to my garden, rest there in my arms. There I'll see you safely grown and on your
She has her eyes, she has my Lily's hazel eyes, those eyes that love my brother, never me. Those eyes that never saw me, never knew I longed to hold her close, to live at last in Lily's eyes.
Imagine me her lover.
I long for the day she'd turn and see me standing there. Would God let her stay?
She loves me, and to my amazement, I love it, knowing that she loves me. She loves me, true she didn't show it. How could she, when she didn't know it? Yesterday I loathed her, now today I love her. And tomorrow, she loves me.
Shall we dance on a bright cloud of music? Shall we fly? Shall we dance? Shall we then say goodnight and mean goodbye?
Or perchance, when the last little star has left the sky,
Shall we still be together with our arms around each other? And shall you be my new romance? On the clear understanding that this kind of thing can happen. Shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance?
The CLO years, Mary, thank you. That's all I can think to say. Thank you so much. Thank you. You really showed us what musical theater was all about. I'd also like to, well, I'm in thanking mood here. Let's thank Bruce Monroe and this fabulous orchestra, huh? 40 pieces, Mary. Could you die, huh? Whoa! Fabulous, fabulous. And while we're in a thanking mood, there's a couple people who this could not have happened without. First of all, Miss Kathy Sestrap. Where are you, Kathy? Stand up and take a bow. And somewhere out there is Miss Sue Bardsley, who's another one. Where's Sue? And the unflappable Ken Tilden, ladies and gentlemen. Now, how do you end a tribute to Mary? Well, there's only one word. Bernstein, don't you think? Okay.
Been a fool, and so have I, but come and be my wife, and let us try before we die to make some sense of life. We're neither pure nor wise nor good. We'll do the best we know. We'll build our house and chop our wood and make our garden grow and make our garden grow.
I thought the world was sugar cake for
And of course, the last word has to be Mary's. Mary.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the best singers, actors, musicians in the whole world right here on this stage. I am absolutely overwhelmed by this outpouring of talent and love, and I just consider myself so fortunate in my life to have shared it with so many wonderful people, because of all the people in the world, it's the people of the theater that are sharing and loving, and you all are my family, and I love you forever and ever. And I just can't say thank you enough. I love you, and keep on going, keep on going.
My name is David Nash, and I had the privilege to choreograph the entire 10th anniversary season here with Mary. A few little shows, Hello Dolly, My Fair Lady, and Evita. Thank you. Since Susie Glass didn't show up, I want to say a word about Evita. The whole season broke records, but certainly that was a show that stood this town on its ears, thanks to Mary's excellence and the Cielo Orchestra that rocked. We had such a turnout. There are lots of people you don't see here. We had over 200 people come to audition, and auditioning about number 237 was a warbling matron who we knew we didn't need, but God love her. Mary was so kind to her. After her song, she had a monologue prepared that went something like, Eva Perón is a very interesting woman, I believe. It sent me out in hysterics. I had to cover my face. I had to leave the room. When I composed myself and came back, Mary was sitting there saying, now, my dear, did you write that monologue yourself? Treating that poor woman as if she'd given us a reading of Shakespeare. And it's that kind of warmth and graciousness that epitomes the giving, loving spirit that Mary had, not only for all the talented people, but for all the wannabes that ever came in contact and auditioned for her. And for that, I always love you, Mary.
Please come party with us next door. Thank you all very, very much.